What's going to happen after November 5th? I will plug my favorite people, Russell Brand. He's voting Trump. He's very disturbed by the left. And he used to be a liberal too. He's British. He used to be they call him a limousine liberals, the wealthy liberal. And it was more about social stuff. And he came out and he said, this country will never be the same after November the 5th.
No matter who?
No matter what. Am I off? Tell me this, Trey, and then we'll start wrapping up. Is it crazy of me to say this is Civil War type stuff we've got going on?
I'm hoping not.
Hope. Is it crazy for me to suggest that could be a possibility?
Here's what my hope is. I see stories on social media, extreme both ways. And it's like, if Kamala gets elected, these immigrants going to get worse. Are we going to go to civil war?
Sure.
Is all this going to happen? On the vice versa, if Trump gets elected, I've seen so many stories about the abortion stuff where, what are women going to do? Are they going to go back to the underground stuff, and more women are going to die because of this, type stuff. So it's going to be that extreme.
If somebody walked out of that place and it said on there, I voted for Kamala, I would judge them and I'd be like, what a dumbass. And that's wrong.
It's wrong. Yes. Wrong.
Maybe. Well, it depends. They could be dumb, Trey.
Well, they could be. Just like they could be dumb voting for Trump too.
Percentage-wise, I think it's a little different. No, I'm kidding. You're absolutely right. Welcome to Stay in the Gray podcast. We explore news that gets people talking by blending comedy and controversy.
Brutal banner, fierce word, shadow streets among herd.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Trey. Together we dive into tough topics with a combination of humor and some insight.
So join us as we navigate the gray areas of the world and engaging in real conversation.
Come get to know us.
Well, Trey, how many more shows do we have before the election?
Is this it?
This is it. Guess what I did today?
You voted.
I did. I early voted. Although this show is going to come out on official election day, I went ahead and early voted. I don't know why. It was crowded. It's almost like this election's a little different this year.
Yeah.
And everybody was in the lines just judging everyone. I wonder who that fucker voted for.
Oh, I can imagine.
Oh man, everyone is quiet. Nobody was talking. I was with my wife, so I was trying to talk, and she's like, shh, no one else is talking. I'm like, I don't care. I talk.
Was there anybody that were adamant about wearing their Kamala shirt or adamant about wearing their Trump shirt?
There's a sign that said you're not allowed any kind of articles of clothing that support either candidate.
Really?
Yeah. Which is
that to keep from discouraging people?
I think it's to kind of put a fork in any kind of idea that there'd be a fisticuffs involved.
Gotcha.
Because, Trey, there was in South Carolina a man that had a Let's Go Brandon hat, which is poking fun at Joe Biden. And they asked him to take it off, and he said, no, I don't, this is just, it could be anything. This is ridiculous, who cares? And they said, no, you have to take it off. And he kind of threw it back in the hallway, and this one girl that was working there came up and just open hand slapped him straight across the face, and they had to restrain him. And
holy shit!
So I'm thinking that's why.
Wow,
that's probably why. Things like that, it's just this. Everybody, we talked about it. Everybody just spits at each other, and if somebody walked out of that place and it said on there I voted for Kamala, I would judge them, and I'd be like, what a dumbass. And that's wrong.
It's wrong. Yes, it's wrong.
Maybe. Well, it depends. They could be dumb. Trey, you don't know.
They could be. Just like they could be dumb voting for Trump too.
I don't think, percentage-wise, I think it's a little different. No, I'm kidding. You're absolutely right, Trey. So that happened today, and I voted, and so this show is going to be released on the morning of the election. We're doing a morning release because of the election. So if you haven't voted by the time you're listening to this, if it's a day after it's released, well,
You missed it.
Fast forward. Well, no, we're going to talk about other stuff, but get out and vote. That's most important. Number one. Number two, vote with what's most important to you and your family at a federal level. And then number three, leave there with no regret. Those are my three pieces of advice. What do you think?
I like it.
Have you registered to vote yet?
So I'm going to jump in.
Don't worry. I'm not letting you off the hook until we.
Here's something we should.
You go into our headlines.
This should be voted on.
We'll go to the headlines.
This is an important.
This is your headline?
Human rights.
This is headline or
yeah,
no?
it's a headline.
Take it easy.
So maybe we should put this in our human rights for the next vote.
Okay. Human rights as one of our topics.
So this actually is in the Netherlands. It says sex is viewed as a basic human right in the Netherlands. So much so that this disabled citizens can receive government funds to pay for prostitutes up to 12 times a year.
That's more than a lot of people get it just who aren't crippled.
Right. So, and it makes you wonder how do you prove you're disabled? Do you have to say, well, do you have to show receipts?
Yeah,
what she looks like.
Gimp it into the building and be like,
right.
I got a problem.
I mean, do escorts count as prostitutes? How does all that
I wonder
play?
what the prostitute pool looks like over there. If this is involved, and they're like, I might get one of these guys. And not that, these were nice guys, but it's just probably not the most appealing for,
I don't know.
Depending on what it is. Right?
Depending on how disabled you are.
But good for the Netherlands. We can't even get our hurricane victims food and water, but by God, the Netherlands.
There's a lot of disabled people, I'm sure, out there.
Get those disabled.
Do you think it works both ways for the women too? Disabled women get the male?
Ooh, are you interested?
Prostitute?
in applying for the position. No pun intended. I'm
going to be pissed off at my pimp if he gets me into this rotation.
You're like, every day, not one day do I want to go to this thing.
I'm tired of driving around the handicap accessible van to pick up these dates.
It's
not cool.
You're sitting. You have to walk the handicap ramp.
Yeah.
You have to sit in the handicap section. You have to.
Maybe that'll work out sometimes. Though.
Like sports games.
Yeah.
The little balcony with the handicap. Be like, are you a Rangers fan?
You will be tonight.
Thought I'd take you to the game. I think I think men need it more than women. I don't think anybody's going to argue. I mean, I don't know. Some women are like, that's bullshit, but I don't, bottom line is I can't imagine that this is.
We're assuming men are taking advantage of this more than
women. I can't imagine. I mean, maybe there's women out there that do, but oh well. It's just a headline. Go look it up.
Right.
Or go to the Netherlands and try it. If you're crippled, and let us know.
Trip off the plane.
Yeah. Oh no, I hurt myself.
Does it have to be a pre-existing condition
or a permanent one? Or I mean, what if you're just injured for 6 months? You get like if you
one of the stickers on you get on your car.
You only
get prostitutes for 6 months.
You break your leg, so you've got there's a statute of limitation on it.
That's interesting.
It runs out your time.
That's interesting.
So there are a lot of questions I have on this.
Yeah,
we'll add it to our world tour, and we'll go to the Netherlands and find out.
Break our legs.
We'll let you know in a year or so. A picture of us with casts on and shit. Here's my headline. Federal agents, they raid a gun shop and they find weapons. That is literally a headline, people. So
good for them.
If you think guns are weapons, then worked out. Come as no surprise to you, right? All right, well, my headlines don't have as much to talk about, so let's move on. I'm going to do Butthurt Comments tonight. I didn't do it last time. I vented instead because people are challenged. Trying not to call them names, Trey.
You're doing a good job.
Yeah. I just can't speak.
Can't even talk. If you can't say anything good, don't say anything at all. Yes. You're practicing that right now.
This lady, in case you missed that was... She, Twitter is the enemy, and I get it if you want to say one thing and go, gotcha, all right, fine, I'm gonna get this guy. He said something I don't agree with. That's what it's all about. But to go on and on and on, and I admit that I should just stop. Then I'll go for a while, and finally I'm just like, move on. Like, you're on our page.
Yeah.
Like, move on. What are you sitting there waiting for my reply? Like, as soon as I...
She's those 3 little dots pop up. She's like,
oh, here it comes. And she just name calls. She has a picture of a fucking tree on her profile picture, and her name is Deb. And Deb finally said, I said something about her false narratives, which I like to say a lot because that I believe is true about that side. If you have no interest in false narratives, you should probably rip out your vocal cords because you are an idiot. Oh, and a true dumb fuck.
Oh, shit.
Is that better, simpleton? Because I said, because at first you called me a dummy. And I was like, you're either 11 or you're really old. Either way, I don't have interest in false narratives. So good luck. Thumbs up. Okay. I didn't call her name back. And then she hits me with that. And I was like, okay, so you're just going to up it. You're going to make it sound cool or something? You'd be impressed with my response. My response was, I have a huge interest in false narratives. That's why I warn people about the Democratic Party. When you resort to name calling, it shows you have no character, no substance, and no capacity to be taken seriously. Have a nice day and a good cry on 11/6.
You didn't say like and subscribe?
Well, I should have, but no name calling. How about that,
calling,
Trey?
yeah.
How about that? So I wanted to give Deb a shout out for being a cunt. And
Hey, whoa.
Deb, I'm just kidding. Good luck to you. And, maybe I am a dumb fuck. Who knows, right, Trey?
Yeah.
But Deb, if anybody knows that, it's not you. So
like and subscribe.
Like and I just hit a button and my whole computer went down. Good thing I don't think I need it. Hey, Trey, fill some time. Jesus, hold on. It'll come.
Fill some time.
This has happened before. It'll come right back up.
Yeah.
There it goes. The keyboards need better labels.
Yeah.
This
Don't
one will
push
shut
this.
the damn thing down.
Don't push this button.
All right, so there's Butthurt Comment of the Night. So let's go to you and I's favorite section, the news. Well, at least you didn't laugh this time. You just smiled. This first story is called "'Tis the Season," and again, I didn't really write notes this time. I'm just kind of going off this because this is a great source for these stories. It's just great. It's there because they're quick. So in Tennessee, there is a horror.
I said we talked about this in the Netherlands already.
Oh yeah, no. If you cripple yourself, you can get laid. No, it's for Halloween, so it's like a spooky experience.
Okay.
When you go to the haunted houses,
Hay rides,
shit like that.
Yeah.
Well, in Tennessee, there's an immersive horror experience that's personalized to each guest, and it's a 6-hour-long tour.
Holy crap.
People magazine reported on October 8th that guests are required to sign a 40-page waiver.
Damn.
And must be over 21. In addition, they may have to complete a sports physical and provide proof of medical insurance. Quote, "We're known for no quitting and no safe word," said the owner and Navy veteran Russ McCamey.
Oh, shit.
Your hair may be chopped off, dentistry may be done, and you may have a tooth extracted.
Are you serious?
McCamey was arrested in July for second-degree attempted murder, rape, and domestic violence after an incident with his girlfriend, but the charges were dropped, and McCamey is up and running with this experience.
Wow.
What do you think? What do you think it is? Like just people?
That's some batshit crazy stuff right there.
Monsters grabbing you and chopping your hair off? Like I don't understand. Like
I have no.
It sounds like it's way more than that.
I'm wondering about the tooth extraction.
Forks, physical.
What the hell?
So I thought that was interesting. I don't even like somebody to jump out from behind a wall.
Yeah.
Without a mask.
Well, I'm fine with that, but the damn, ouch, the tooth thing? No.
Well, sure. And no safe word, no quitting, no, you can't be like, I'm out.
I guarantee I could get out if I want out.
Oh, no, man. They might pin you down and take all your teeth.
Well, if that's the case, I'm swinging too. So I'm going to take somebody else's tooth with me.
I wonder what's happened. I bet some shit's happened.
I can imagine.
Freaked out and,
I can imagine.
Jesus.
Especially in Tennessee.
Yeah. Summertown, Tennessee. McCamey Manor.
Interesting.
We should look. I'm actually going to look more into this. I say that sometimes and I don't do it, but
Because I know them Tennessee guys. I'm sure they're packing too. So unless they check for that before they walk in, but man,
I mean, you have to check, right? Anyway,
I didn't at the one. Oh, did they? I don't remember if they had one at the.
well, they better at this one, or some shit's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheers to people that lost teeth.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's a Halloween extravaganza.
That's scary.
Okay. This next one's another airport story. It's quick, very quick. Apparently, Dunedin or Dunedin, Liv would have known because she's from that region. It's New Zealand.
Okay.
So travelers leaving New Zealand city of Dunedin better say their goodbyes at home. The airport's drop-off area will now restrict hugs to 3 minutes. First off, I don't really ever hug anybody for 3 minutes.
A 3-minute hug?
No, it has to be. You can't go over 3 minutes because it's an effort to prevent the traffic jams.
Knowing you would do 3 minutes and 1 second.
Just the fact that they have to announce that there's a 3-minute limit, and it's only going to be on people that are newly in a relationship and in love, and
maybe parents or grandparents too.
A 3-minute embrace, that's a long
so?
time.
Can you imagine your granddaughter leaving?
Yeah, that's a long embrace.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's almost creepy.
You think for grandparents?
Yeah, I don't know.
That father-daughter, mother-son.
3 minutes?
Yeah, I guess that is coming.
I don't know. That's full commercials. I don't know. Anyway.
What if you're making out? Does that count as a hug?
I think you get 5 minutes.
If you're making out? Oh, what if you... never mind.
What if you're over in the corner? The CEO of the airport, Dan DeBono, said officials hope to keep things moving smoothly. Not all travelers were accepting of the time limit, saying the rule breached human rights.
Breached human rights?
Yeah, but DeBono assured them, we don't really have hug police. This is just something we prefer that you do.
That they encourage, yeah. Interesting.
Like you said, there will be somebody that does 3 minutes and 1 second just to see what happens.
Yeah.
That'd be greatness if it was like a little siren went off, all right, get the fuck away from each other. Get on the plane.
You'll see some security guard tackle you.
This one here is something that I think you'll appreciate for more than one reason. First off, it's about orcas.
God.
If anybody hasn't listened or watched before,
I talked about orcas.
I used to have quite a few orca stories because they've calmed down.
Yeah.
They're just waiting right now. They went a little cray. They went a little crazy.
Right.
They were training their own. What do you call it? The herd, the calves to knock boats out and all the kinds of shit. Well, if you have them confined at a place like SeaWorld in San Antonio,
okay, I've been there.
These creatures are smart. Okay, and they're probably annoyed that they're kept captive.
Right.
Yes, they have food, but they can find their own food. They're big and tough and smart. So during a show, one of the orcas defecated in the pool, which is really massive, by the way. I saw a picture of that.
That's a big turd, I'm sure.
And then put his tail underneath it and splashed it up onto the spectators.
I think I did hear about this, yes.
So the crowd and the employees were hit with the poopy water, says the article.
That's greatness.
SeaWorld has declined to comment.
You think?
What are they going to say? Well,
whoops.
We tried to teach them not to flip their shit on people.
We told you the splash zone area, where to go, where not to go.
Sit at your own risk.
Yeah.
Can you imagine these people just covered in shit? Just all
whale shit. That'd be a funny story to tell, though.
Sure.
After you cleaned up.
You won't believe what happened 6 hours ago.
Hopefully you ate before then.
I bet it stays on you. I bet you can't clean it very easily.
Whale poo.
Anyway, you know what? Those are 3 very simple stories because we have some stuff to get to. And there you go.
Yeah.
Oops.
Whoops.
Well, you know what's interesting, Trey, is that, we get done with news and then you kind of go into more news. It's just the main, it's like our main news. It's real topics, not whale shit.
Not whale shit.
Being flapped onto your face. I'd like to talk about Nick Bosa. Obviously, you know who Nick Bosa is.
Yeah.
and anybody listening knows by now what happened with him. If you're a football fan at all, or if you read any of these publications, they've all have their different opinions on it. He is a defensive lineman, big boy, on the San Francisco 49ers. So he's already playing for a pretty liberal city. And during an interview with their quarterback, Brock Purdy, after they had just diminished Dallas Cowboys, just thought I'd make sure that people knew who they had beaten, Trey. They were interviewing quarterback Brock Purdy, and out of nowhere comes Nick Bosa, and he points at a hat, and it's a white, but it had gold on it. It's right here. Make America Great Again hat. So he's a Trump supporter.
Gotcha.
He's been a long-time Trump supporter. He's never shied away from it. George Kittle, who was standing there, laughed and gave him a thumbs up. I'm surprised Kittle's not. How dare you give him a thumbs up? And I forget the name of the blonde. Is that an ESPN microphone? I forget. But either way, whoever the network who was interviewing him, she was like, "Oh shit! Like, what do you do?" Because
you really can't do anything though, can you?
No, but I mean, it's like, here we go. And Nick and Purdy was just like looking down. You can see in this picture if anybody can see it. He's just like, oh god, like here we go. And Bosa probably has that personality. But the bottom line is, guess what's happening? Everybody's all over him. However, his jersey sales have skyrocketed. He's like top 3 now, and like,
really?
Oh yeah. And because people on both sides are very extreme. If he had come out with a Kamala t-shirt, his jersey sales, I don't think they go up like this, but I think people would be like a Bosa fan. But most people assume these athletes are all on the left anyway.
Why would they assume that?
Because it's the norm. It's kind of the celebrities, the athletes, they've always tended to be liberal, and they've just always been like that. A lot of celebrities, and some of them are coming out slowly the other direction. And the reason for that is because we're made to believe that the left side, and all this applies to the election, so this is a good conversation. The left side always kind of has been known as the sympathetic side. Poor migrants, poor, people that are looking for to come here. What's the word? If they're escaping persecution. Anyway, people know what I'm talking about. And let's give amnesty to the people, the illegals that are here. It's about the people and the kids, and who cares about law and order? And it's just this party of sympathy, and it's an all-inclusive party. They really, really preach the LGBTQ. Did I get it right? All the letters. They preach that. The people on the other side don't disagree with it and don't have a problem with any of those people. It's not I guess people know where I am. It's just not something that is thrown down your throat, because it shouldn't be. If it's not going to be, if you want to be level and you want to be equal, then you got to quit pounding people with it, because that's basically saying it's not equal. That makes sense? Well,
let me write that down.
Yeah. The more you isolate people, the more the longer it's going to take to all equal out. If you continue to say black this, black that, it's how are you supposed to come together if you're isolating yourselves by saying we're still the victim? Anyway, look, people know what I'm saying. And if you don't, then you're an idiot.
I'm an idiot.
No. I would tell the guys to cut that whole thing, but I think people understand it. And so I just don't get this notion that Nick Bosa is not allowed to do this. Now, the argument is that the NFL has a policy that says no political, you can't from game day to when you arrive at that arena stadium to when you leave, there's no political, you can't, send a message. My argument is, how about the kneeling? How about all that bullshit? No one was getting fined for that, and that was an obvious political statement.
Well, I still see the end racism and stuff like that on the back of the helmets. Is that not a political statement, or is that just more of a human rights thing? How do they differentiate that?
Very good point. Where's the line? But that's until you make a line, you can't just.
So is the NFL fining him or anything like that, or just a slap on the
They're
wrist?
talking about a fine and no suspension, which would be absolutely absurd.
Yeah, suspension would be a little
hat
over.
on.
Yeah.
Put a hat on. It's right. And they asked him in the interview afterwards, of course, and he said, well, I don't really want to talk much about it, but all I'll tell you is it's a pretty important time right now, a pretty important election, and so I'm not going to shy away, which is basically what all of us on both sides are saying. This is a crazy election. Mm-hmm. I play for this team, and I'm not going to shy away. So you get a lot of people that supported him. Brian Urlacher, old Bears linebacker, tweeted and said, showed off. He said MAGA on Twitter. Bosa. Mm-hmm. You had people that were supported. Meanwhile, you get a guy like Robert Rivas, who's a 71st Speaker of the California State Assembly. Gives a shit about that guy. He's calling for Bosa to be traded. I hope the 49ers CEO, Jed York, trades Nick Bosa to Mar-a-Lago. As a lifelong Niners fan, I can say I've seen enough of Bosa in California. So,
I think it's a little extreme.
So for wearing a hat and believing and voting for somebody this guy wants. And that's an example, in my opinion, of the two sides.
Yeah.
And again, I'm picking one example, and it does benefit my side by giving it to you. But what do you think? I mean, that's silly.
I mean,
he's a great fucking player.
Well, he's a good player, but yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do something like that, I mean, you got to expect some backlash from it. But as far as suspension or being traded or something like that, I think that's a little overboard about that. Sure. So, I mean, he didn't go on a long rant or anything about being a Trump supporter. He just showed up with a hat, I'm assuming, right? And just jumped into the interview and then left, right?
Literally pointed to his hat, laughed, and left.
Yeah.
And when did that become an issue? And I was going to do, I have a Make America Great Again hat that I've never worn. I think it was during his first run, and it was like a promotion or something. And I said, sure, I'll take one. And I've never worn it, and it's because of this. And it's so stupid that because of a hat. There's a video that went viral in 2016 where a young kid, I think he was 16, was at a one of our favorite places, Trey. He was at a Whataburger fast food restaurant inside at like 9 o'clock at night, and he literally was getting bullied by a group of Hispanic guys because he had a Make America Great Again hat on. Mm-hmm. And he was starting to get punched and physically abused. They took his hat. They threw drinks on him. They threw food at him. And this kid he just kind of sat there and took it. Like, what are you supposed to do? Mm-hmm. And for a hat, and people on the other side will say, well, that hat symbolizes all the labels. Race. You're racist. You're sexist. You're this. Yet nobody can give me a reason any of those things apply. So it's very frustrating, and this is why I'm talking about it. Trey is like, please, this election needs to be over. But I just feel like that's where I went crazy. For the longest time, you've known me. I liked the whole point of this fucking show, Trey, was to stay kind of, let's talk about everything. Let's be in the middle. But stuff like that really got me, and I started finally slowly after COVID and during Biden and this whole thing, and just seeing how people were treated and on both sides, and just this whole thing. It made me a little more passionate and extreme than I like to be. So I apologize that you've had to listen to it. Hopefully some of you have found any of it, intriguing. But if you think that Nick Bosa should be chastised for putting on a fucking hat, maybe you need to look in the mirror at where the problems lie in this country right now. That's all I'll say. Do you have anything to add to Nick Bosa?
No.
Besides the fact that he won the game against your Cowboys?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Fantastic player, but you're seeing more and more of these players come out with MAGA stuff. There was another one the other day, a rapper that came out. I think they're coming out, so look out. I was having a conversation with a mutual friend of ours. Mm-hmm. We always talk about this guy. He's still a mystery. No one knows who he is. And he asked me a question because he doesn't like Donald Trump as a person. And I keep telling him it's not about that. It's about policy. Policy versus person is what I always say. What do you think? I'm gonna put you on a spotlight because no one knows what what's in his brain right now when it comes to the election.
I don't even know.
Trey, I don't even think he is registered yet. I'll put him on the spot in a few minutes, but in the spotlight. But what do you think about that? If you're thinking about a candidate for president of the United States, how much, and if you can give me a percentage, great. If you can't, just kind of just spitball. How much of a personality matters to you, and why for a president in the executive office versus policy, and why? I mean, have you thought about that as someone that doesn't like politics? Because if you're going to go vote, I don't even know if you're going to vote. If you're going to vote, you take these things into account.
You have to take them into account. I mean, I think personality is huge. I mean, you're talking about
huge.
I think it's a big part of it. Yes, because you're looking at somebody that needs to stand up there and lead, right? Mm-hmm. And you'd want them to an extent lead by example. Now, I can't say that people haven't fucked up and haven't messed up in their lives. I mean, sure. All kinds of people, but I don't think it's fair to completely dismiss it either. I mean, because this is the highest standard. This is the highest office that you can hold, I would say. So
probably in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm just saying, I mean, yes, I mean, people are allowed to mess up. People are allowed to have second chances, but you can't just completely dismiss it either. So, I don't know what percentage you put that on, but yeah, I can't say you can completely dismiss things that have happened in the past, because you hear about it on both sides. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
You hear, I mean, the speech where he said, just grab him in the pussy.
Yeah.
He's never going to live that down, but he's also going for the president of the United States. You got Kamala on the other side that's giving criminals or people in prison
sex changes.
Yeah. Again, she can't live that down. She's going
on
for
taxpayer money.
Right.
That was the big issue.
And so, because she's going for the president of the United States. So any dumb shit they've said in the past is going to get brought up. So, of course, yeah, you do have to take that into account, because there's a lot of times they're going to be behind the scenes dealing with important shit.
Right.
So what kind of character do they have behind the scenes to handle this? So
that's a great answer, Trey. Let me fact check you on one thing. He said they will let you grab them by the pussy, which implies consent.
Oh.
So there is no.
So now it's okay.
There's no sexual assault. It's consent.
As long as they say it's okay to grab them by the pussy. Got it.
Absolutely, right?
Got it.
Trey, if you were a single man and somebody said you're welcome to do that, are you going to be like, no?
I would probably be really thrown off if a woman said, grab me by the pussy.
Yeah, that
would throw me off.
It was kind of said weird. It was said oddly, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that, and it's not.
So,
and to say that he doesn't, Donald Trump doesn't have his issues like that, like you're talking about, that you have to not back up, but you have to live with. And he is representing the country.
Well, I mean, and you've got two boys, right? So it's like you've got somebody that could be the leader of the United States, and if your boys are looking up online and they hear these comments and stuff like that, how do they get affected by it? Maybe not much. Maybe it's just a laugh it off type deal. But same with Kamala. it's just like it does come into play about her past, especially with how she's been quoted as, or I should say, what's the word? Allegedly working her way up into office.
Her way to the top.
So I mean, those kind of rumors can
Willie Brown allegations,
right?
Things like that. Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, and we can't get away from it, especially with the internet these days. Everything's going to be found, old tweets, old, whatever the case may be. So,
be honest with me. Have you heard about those Kamala issues because of me or because of the media? Because I feel like they're not getting. You don't hear about them because you have to kind of dig, but you hear about Donald.
Yeah, I've heard them from you.
And and that's my big problem with the whole thing is that our free press is one-sided. It is. You cannot argue it. Argue with me about Fox News being one-sided. I don't agree with that either. But thank God there's at least one side that's going to put out.
But on the other hand, I do see I guess it's the right side, a lot of internet stuff, the memes and stuff like that. I saw something that had to do with Napoleon Dynamite today, where they put a little mashup with the little girl talking about just put your arm up like
You don't
they
think that
show
was
Kamala
real?
and stuff like that, And it's I see a lot more of that on my feed, as far as poking fun at Kamala. So
Well, it's easy to poke fun at her because of some of her behavioral, her laugh, the fact that there is a lot of word salad, and I think that's what worries a lot of people that are undecided. I'm hoping I might sit there and go, hey, when she's not prepared, when she doesn't have the questions beforehand, when she's not in a place that loves her, she freezes. And I've posted a bunch of examples under Trey's protest before where they're honestly funny and there is some humor to it. I posted some funny Donald stuff too. And she just kind of doesn't really say. She says like 1,800 words without saying anything, and that worries me when you're going up in a room against Vladimir Putin or Kim Jong-un or all these people that everyone. How dare Donald have a relationship? Well, he's gonna. There's the ones that show we got it in there. He's got a relationship. We talked about it. We won't get into it. Diplomatic relationships are not a bad thing. And to go in there, and I just can't imagine. I'll bring this up here in a minute. I was going to talk about it later, but I'll do it now. Let's go to our colleague, Joe Rogan. He's maybe one day he'll acknowledge us as a colleague.
Well, before you go any further,
okay, all right, go ahead.
So,
did I cut you off?
Well, no. When you say that, I get your point there. As far as maybe she's not great at the whole public speaking or thinking on her feet as well as some. I can't imagine being at that high of a level, making sure you say everything perfectly for Donald and because I've heard him the same way. And so. You just hope that behind closed doors with Vladimir, with North Korea guy, that she surrounds herself with the right people. She plans well, and to where both of them, they go in there prepared and ready to, because they're not going to be put in a spotlight. It's going to be behind closed doors. They're not going to be sitting there in front of the public and stuff like that. So you would think they would be ready to roll. And as was she a prosecutor, defense attorney, or
she's a prosecutor? Yeah.
So you would think she'd be prepared for those kind of discussions, but maybe she's not as good as thinking on her feet.
I haven't seen anything at all once she's been in a position of pressure where she is asked things that are indefensible, and instead of saying, you know what, we haven't done shit in 3.5 years. I'm not Joe Biden. I'm going to change that. She said that I'm not Joe Biden a couple times, But when somebody looks at her like Brett Baer in that interview with Fox and says what everybody says, 3.5 years, all these things you're saying weren't done, not even close. And now you're flip-flopping on about 15 issues and saying you're going to do them. Why should we believe you? And then she freezes, and then she talks about Donald Trump. I posted one thing where it like counted how many times she said Donald Trump in the interview, and it was like 67. I mean, it was just like all it is. You and I have talked about this. I'm not doing this thing solo. We've discussed it. Man, it just seems like all night it's just not about what they're going to do. It's about what the other person, they suck.
Hasn't done, yeah.
And both sides did it a little bit. I just think it's more on her side. Either way, I didn't mean to get into like her character. I just wanted to know what, if with you as a quote unquote undecided, look at the candidates. And we had our debate. Thought it went well. We looked spiffy in our ties and V-neck. and we talked about actual issues. And I tried my best. I threw the candidates in there a little bit unintentionally, maybe intentionally a little bit. But we talked about the issues. So now I'm asking you about personality and how that compares. When you go to vote Tuesday, today, if you're listening, right? I know everyone's waiting for it to come out. Are people really voting against Donald versus for Kamala, which is the big consensus? Because I think there's more on that than there is the opposite, which is voting for Donald because you're voting against Kamala.
I've heard it from both sides.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, social media, you hear people come out saying, I was a Trump supporter, but this, and I love Kamala, but I'm tired of this. So, I've heard it on both sides where
isn't it sad?
It's a crazy time, and it's like no matter which one you vote for, you're gonna it's wrong. And that's kind of where I've come up to, it's just like, no matter who I vote for, if I vote for Trump, I'm going to be a racist, I'm sexist, I'm going to be, if I vote for Kamala, I'm stupid, I don't care about America.
You're woke, you're woke left.
So it's like,
you're a beta male.
why does anybody want to come out and say who they voted for? Because you're just going to be ridiculed no matter what.
Yeah. I've looked around the neighborhoods a little bit. And I know we're in the city, so it's probably bluish more the cities tend to be. But I look around and I see a few signs, but not a lot overall. I mean, you'll see, a house that's like 18 Trump flags and signs everywhere. And then you'll see a bunch of houses that have the Kamala, and then they have the governor and all the same ones next to it, all the Democrats. So they're voting all blue. And then most people, that vote Trump vote red. I have one sign in my yard that's a Trump ban sign. And honestly, I was afraid to put it there because of the way that things are. And it's a very subtle sign. Everybody should be able to say, hey, look, this is, let's go. And, but there's not a lot of signs here. And I don't know if that's a sign that because there's definitely interest, but I think people are scared to say who they're voting for.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've discussed it in the past as like, how's that going to affect friendships? How's that going to affect family members? How's that going to, so it's just like.
What if my neighbor who, we just moved into this house not too long ago, what if the neighbor that I've been so cordial with and waved at and all of a sudden she sees that and it could go one of two ways. Either she agrees and she's like, sweet, nice, I like them. Or she could cut us off completely. Now, she hasn't. She's continued to wave, so I hope that's a good sign. And some people really don't care, and I think those people are still out there. Some people are like, this is so stupid. I'm going to vote my way, but I'm not going to I hope that.
Publicize it.
I hope that's still out there. Or I'm just not going to give you, I'm not going to think you're the devil.
Yeah.
You vote the other way. I've explained why I'm voting the way I'm voting, and I've explained that it's policy and that, Donald Trump doesn't bother me as much as some people. We need to look at anything that he's done. But writing bad checks with an attorney and he's got this much money, okay, but we need a guy like that to go and be a businessman for us, for the country, because we're screwed financially right now. And that's important to me. It might not be important to other people. We talk to Liv about my body, my choice. A lot of people that's their most important thing, women.
Well, and I heard Kamala's distancing herself away from Biden now. So, I mean, maybe she sees the issues too. I mean.
Well, did you hear? I'm surprised I didn't have this on our list. Did you hear what he said about me, people voting for Trump?
No.
He called anybody that voted for Trump garbage.
So.
Garbage.
And I should have had this pulled up. But as far as this joke about Puerto Rico, though, I mean, don't you think that was a little classless to have at a rally? He should have vetted the joke. I heard he didn't vet the joke. I think that would have been something that he would vet. He'd be smart enough to vet to make sure, hey, not right now. Don't say something stupid.
At her rally, they did a similar joke.
Did they?
That? It was George Lopez that did it.
No.
So maybe he's getting a pass because
I hadn't heard about that, no.
So they did the same thing over there, but you don't hear about that. And I'm not saying it was. I can't be a hypocrite. You know how much I hate that. And you and I sit here and talk about how people need to laugh.
But I also think there's a stage for it too.
True.
Especially know your audience. I think right now everybody's so on edge, looking for that reason to just go ballistic. And okay, let's not say that joke right now, because they're looking for something to, okay, Trump did this. Well, no, Trump didn't. Now, maybe he was foolish enough not to vet the jokes and check, or didn't have the right people to vet it. Okay, it
should be his people.
Right. So I that's where I'm saying he messed up. It's just right now with this atmosphere, maybe that was bad timing.
Well, a senator in Puerto Rico came out immediately and endorsed Donald Trump and said, "We don't care. We're laughing."
I've heard a lot of Puerto Ricans come out saying that they're coming around going for Kamala, endorsing Kamala because of it.
Honestly, I've heard the opposite. And I'll show you just to prove that I'm not full of shit. I mean, guys are coming out saying, "Who gives a shit? It was a joke."
Yeah, there's like Bad Bunny. Have you heard of Bad Bunny?
No.
He's an international music star. He came out and said that was ridiculous. I'm endorsing Trump. There was some newspaper in Puerto Rico
that's endorsing Trump.
No, I'm sorry, endorsing Kamala.
Well, but a lot of these singers are doing that anyway.
Well, there was some popular Puerto Rican news something that had millions of followers that came out saying they're supporting Kamala because of this. So,
yeah.
I mean, it does.
Well, I want to see that because I haven't seen those, and I'm always willing to look, and I want to show you the other side too because I was impressed by their so many videos of groups of Puerto Ricans that are just like, laughing about it and they're having fun. They're like, well, and I'm not going to even try to do the accent because I'll get yelled at.
Well, I mean, you have the half and half. And like you said, you're going to have the extremes on both sides. But
the fact that a senator came out in Puerto Rico and said, hey, nope, we're Trump. And they had Trump parades in the streets of Puerto Rico, San Juan.
I'm just saying.
It didn't have the effect that what the left side media is trying to give it.
Right. And
do I think it's classless? I'm not never going to say it's classless because I think people need to laugh and who gives a shit. It was at the wrong time, probably.
I just thought it was bad. That's all I'm going to say. Was it bad timing? Probably. Yeah. After, if he gets elected, okay. I haven't heard the joke, so I probably shouldn't say.
I'm elected. So, yeah.
So now I can say.
Honestly, I think I heard what it was. But I don't even know exactly. I just know that people make jokes all the time about race and about different ethnicities, and people need to laugh. And I don't want to go back on that stance. I believe in it.
Was the comic at least Puerto Rican?
I don't.
Okay.
It makes me look bad, but I don't. Maybe that's why the other side's getting a pass because George Lopez said it made a really racist joke about his own people. I guess.
Yeah.
It'd be like maybe, but. Again, you get black comedians, and it's fucking funny that make fun of white people, and it's so funny, and I laugh. And I know white people have had it easier in this country. In this country, Elon Musk said it best when he said, "Everybody's been a slave." Trey, everybody. And somebody will look at you and go, "No, well, not everybody." Rolling their eyes like, "No, it just depends on how far back you want to go and where." In this world, you have had Roman slaves, you've had Egyptian slaves, you've had Irish and you've had slaves all over the world. And I'm not downplaying what we did as a country because it was horrible. All I'm saying is that let's just laugh. I don't know. I'm just that guy. I just think things are funny.
I'm hoping we're getting back there.
I think
it's just
a little bit.
Right now, the atmosphere, depending on where you're at, know your crowd, know your audience type deal.
I think I agree with you. I think we're on the same page. The timing wasn't great, but I'm not going to sit here and all of a sudden say, oh, that was tasteless because I've been the guy that preaches. We've been the guys that have preached. Everyone needs to quit being a pansy. And we're not politicians. That's why I like Donald Trump. Honestly, I don't think he's a politician. So we'll move on from that, but it's a good segue. Trey, good stuff tonight. Good Trey bringing it. Let's talk about the aftermath. I was going to talk about Joe, and I'll talk about him in a second. It's not that big of a deal. The bottom line is if you haven't listened to Donald on Joe, you will hear it. You'll hear a little bit of the same Donald. I mean, obviously he's programmed a little bit right now, but you'll hear a guy that just has a conversation. He's a funny guy. And even Rogan's like, you're just funny, dude. Like half the stuff you do at your rallies is like funny. You're moving around, and the way you make fun of people is funny. Mm-hmm. And Rogan's a stand-up comedian, so he's like, I get it, and you resonate with the audience because of that. And you seem real. You seem like a human versus the stingy, robotic politicians that you can't say this, you can't say this. No one wants to be told what they can and can't. Fuck that. And so I think go listen to it if you haven't. Just because I admire, again, our colleague, who maybe will have us on one day, Joe Rogan. He has a few more subscribers than us on Spotify.
Tad bit.
But he's awesome. And then he had JD Vance on. Mm-hmm. So he had both the candidates.
Still got that dark eyeliner going, too.
Yeah, he looked good. JD's had the eyes going. And I didn't get through that whole one yet, but so far, I mean, JD became a real guy. He was just a normal person,
right? Talking,
cussing, who cares? And you don't see that on the debates. Go listen to it; it's great. Not like I have to promo Joe Rogan, but I'll give him a shout out. I wanted to mention, and not again. Well, yes, because I want to bash Kamala. I'm just gonna say it. It's the last night, Trey. Joe said, "Kamala, come on. I'm a former Democrat. I want you on here too. I want to get to know you. That's what I do. I have conversations like you and I do. I'm not going to drill you. I'm not going to interview you. I'm just going to talk to you.
Yeah.
Just talk. That's what I did with Donald. And she said no. And then her team came back and said, if you come to her, she'll do it.
Why though?
I don't know. And it has to be only 1 hour. Well, Joe does like 3-hour conversations. He'll drink a little whiskey. He'll smoke cigars.
How long was the Trump one?
3 hours.
Same with JD?
JD was 3.5 hours almost. And so you're sitting there going, and that's what happens with Joe. Joe and Snoop Dogg did a 5-hour. They were getting high. And it was so entertaining because they were both high and they're just going off. And Snoop was telling stories about back in the day and the backstage, and Joe was eating it up. And so that's what he does. And so Kamala had an opportunity to kind of show everybody. And Joe's listeners, there's a lot of independents like myself, undecideds, people that
is interesting. She would miss out on an opportunity like that to.
She had a disaster when she went on Fox News, and I think she was worried she'd have a disaster of going on Joe Rogan. I think,
but you're just talking, just talking.
Yeah,
though.
but she knows Joe. Joe has said some stuff about her, and I think she didn't feel it would benefit her, and I don't know why, because Joe has. I think he finally dropped to second. I forget who's first, but he was the largest podcast in the world, and he has like a $500 million contract. I think we have a $5 contract. But either way, go on there and show us who you are. And she wouldn't do it. And she didn't make Howard Stern come to her and only make it an hour. She went there into his studio. She went to the Call Her Daddy podcast about sex. Didn't make her come to. So there's something there that Kamala was avoiding. And JD Vance pointed it out right away. He's like, Joe's like, look, she won't come. He's not gonna.
What about Waltz?
Oh, I don't know if Joe tried. I mean, I can't imagine Joe or Waltz going.
No.
Well, I don't know if he tried. I mean, I'll wait and see. But either way, you had both Trump and JD Vance go on Joe Rogan, the most popular podcaster in the world, who has a neutral. If there's a podcast that is a neutral, it is Joe Rogan. I mean, he's got liberal views, Republican views. He's conspiracy theorist about aliens. He loves that shit. He tried to get Trump to talk about Area 51, and Trump's like, look, I'm not into that. Like, I don't know anything about. He goes, I'm leaving that to Elon with his space shit. You know, it was funny. It was a conversation.
So I'm surprised Kamala missed out on an opportunity like that.
So I wonder why, and that's part of her being uncomfortable that I talked about. If she's uncomfortable going on Joe Rogan or for whatever reason, not everything she does is going to be comfortable. She's going to have some uncomfortable situations she's going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
And that scares me off as a voter, as if she hadn't already. For time's sake, let's roll. The aftermath. I wanted to ask you about this because you and I have been meaning to talk about it, and we've had side discussions off the record, about the aftermath. What's going to happen after November 5th? I will plug my favorite people, Russell Brand. He's found Jesus, and he's become even more Russell Brand, like in an opposite way. But he's voting Trump. He's very disturbed by the left, and he used to be a liberal too. He's British. He used to be they call him a limousine liberals, the wealthy liberal, and it was more about social stuff. But he came out and he said, this country will never be the same after November the 5th.
No matter who?
No matter what, because both sides, am I off? Tell me this, Trey, and then we'll start wrapping up. Is it crazy of me to say this is Civil War type stuff we've got going on?
I'm hoping not.
Hope. Is it crazy for me to suggest that could be a possibility? And you can say yes.
I hope it's crazy. I really do. Would I be surprised? I don't know. I don't think I would be surprised. But like, here's what my hope is. I see stories on social media, extreme both ways. And it's like, if Kamala gets elected, these immigrants going to get worse. Are we going to go to civil war?
Sure.
Is all this going to happen? On the vice versa, if Trump gets elected, I've seen so many stories about the abortion stuff where, what are women going to do? Are they going to go back to the underground stuff, and more women are going to die because of this, type stuff. So it's like, is it going to be that extreme? depending on who gets elected? Or is this just people going to social media, putting this extreme stuff out, hoping to push people towards a certain person to vote for? So I don't know.
No, that's good. That's good shit right there, Trey. Because my opinion is that you're coming to the finish line, and that yes, I'm saying it. I feel like a lot of what's happening on the Democratic side, because remember, they didn't choose this person. They put her in because she was the vice president. They didn't have an election. They didn't like her when she ran for in the primary. She was last. But they ran her because that was the only option, or else they lose their money. And Joe is obviously Joe showed up to call us garbage. That's it. I haven't seen him do shit in the last how many months. But they're coming out continuing this Nazi Hitler bullshit in comparison to Trump, which is the opposite, actually. We won't get into it. No, I don't want to give you a history lesson or anybody else. Just look it up. Look up the definition of fascism and Nazism and all these things. Trump is not it at all. The party claiming he is shows more of those tactics. Just look it up. That's all I'll say. But they're going to these very serious, very like accusations, and honestly, it's probably caused some of these wackos to take a shot at Trump, and it frustrates me because it's like that's all you got. Calling everybody a racist. Okay, he's racist. How? I've asked Trey. I can't tell you how many times, and you've probably seen it, different forums on Twitter. Just tell me how. Not one person has come back and given me an example of how he is. And all I say is he's won NCAAP awards. NCAACP. Thank you. Something like that.
Yeah.
Awards.
NAACP. There we go. Okay.
There you go. Won awards back in the day for his work in the communities. He backed Jesse Jackson financially when he ran for president. He dated a black woman. That sounds like a racist asshole to me. No one called him that until he ran in 2016. It's unbelievable. Sexist. There's some things with the beauty pageants and all that. But again, that's not going on now. People have a right to their past. You do too. We all do. I know you've done some stuff.
Well, again, if
Trey's got some stories.
If Kamala gets elected, I mean, is she going to just open the borders up and flood the immigrants in? Is she going to let every
Thank you for bringing me back, because I was going off.
Is she going to let every inmate get a sex change? You know, it's just like I see this like this Colin Aldred. It's like he's gonna
running for governor against Ted Cruz in Texas.
He's gonna
for our non-Texas,
letting all the girls or boys into girls' locker rooms and stuff like this. You know,
like Tim Walz.
I understand there's probably some things that they fought for, but it's not something I can imagine they're just gonna let boys flood into the locker rooms of the girls. So. I get it. There's a lot of extreme views, and I think they're just trying to push it to the candidate that they want, and I get that. So I'm hoping after the election, it's going to calm down.
Calm down, maybe.
And I just hope that they're smart enough, both sides, to get good people around them to fix whatever we need to get fixed.
Right. I think Tim Walz worries me a little because he's actually done that in his state. Tampons in the boys' restrooms, things like that. Men and women's sports, things like that. I mean, he's done it. He's proven it. She's proven the sex change thing in the jail. She's done those things. The things that they're accusing Donald of, he was president for 4 years. He didn't use any fascist tactics. I mean, it's just stupid. And so that's my point. And if you look at the numbers before COVID, his inflation was amazing. I'm not going to sit here and like jerk Donald off for you. I'm just saying that's what's happening is that you're seeing, in my opinion, the Trump campaign back off a little bit. And they're just like, I think we got this. We don't need to like bash her. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of that recently. When he gets on stage, he'll say funny stuff. He'll make fun of Joe, or he said, forgive Joe for calling you guys garbage. He has no idea what he's saying. I mean, he's funny. That's funny. What a way to respond to it. He called us garbage. So Donald shows up. Did you see this? He shows up in a garbage truck to the airport with a garbage outfit on. And on the side of the truck was the Trump logo. And he shows up. He's like, this is for Joe and Kamala. Tell me that's not a guy of the people. I thought it was brilliant. He did it in one day. And he shows up and he gets on, his Trump plane. And
gets on his Trump plane.
He gets on the plane after his garbage truck. He goes, they're calling us garbage. Is that I mean, is that as bad as a Puerto Rican joke? I don't know. Maybe not. It just depends on who you are. And so that's the point, is everybody's kind of getting to their extremes. But I think the next 5 days you're going to see a bunch of stuff come out on social media where it's like really intense. And that's why I think the aftermath, which is the point. What do you think? I mean, what's going to happen if Kamala wins? This is real fast. What if Kamala wins? Will Trump voters and everybody just say, oh, fuck, and just kind of fade away, and we'll just watch what happens at the border and just go from there? Or do you think there's a group that's big enough out there of true Trump people that are going to like attack?
I truly believe it's not going to.
They're going to march on Washington.
No,
like,
I think there'll definitely be some backlash as far as, was there voter fraud? Was there, that kind of stuff? I think there'll be a little bit of that, but I can't imagine there being another march on the White House like there was.
Well, not even that, a real one. I mean, that was like people were there and then they just kind of like went. I don't think that was planned. I think nobody had any weapons. If it was planned, they would have weapons. There was like 3 guys that had guns.
No, I can't imagine anything happening.
You don't think there'd be like this 1 million person march from all over the country that came to Washington and with guns ablazing?
No,
we're not there.
I don't think so.
We're not there.
I don't think so.
I'm worried we're close.
Praying.
I'm worried that we're close.
I'm praying we're not there.
I'm worried we're close. That's all I'll say about that. If Trump wins,
I don't know. Same thing. It's just, it's just one of those.
I think cities get burned. I think looting happens. And I think what we've seen before happens with the riots. You don't think that?
I hope not.
That's what happened in 2016. That's what happened when George Floyd was killed. That's what happened. That's what that side does. They preach tolerance and no violence, and then they go and they put masks on. Antifa, things like that will all of a sudden resurface. That's my opinion.
Sounds like I need to take some vacation time.
I didn't mean let's go somewhere on our world tour. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's I wanted to jump in there and say that I think that's what happens if Trump wins. And if Kamala wins, it's like you said, it's rigged election, these types of things. I mean, there's not going to be a smooth transition of power.
Either way,
not smooth. I mean, I don't think it'll be who knows, but I just wanted to get that out there. This is airing on election day, and I wanted to talk about the aftermath because a lot of you may be hitting up some of the reels we put out after the election, and who knows, maybe you'll be listening to this and things have already, maybe Trey and I are predicting things and things. We're
going to be in a bunker somewhere.
And we will do this. Don't worry, everybody. We'll still do the show from the bunker. It'd be kind of fun. Just take some time off. Just take a deep breath. No responsibilities.
Can you imagine us with little helmets on, bulletproof vests?
In the bunker. You may have to have my kid deal with my kids, but
we'll be underneath your desk together.
There is not room for that.
Your back better get better soon.
Yeah, by the way, in case I'm sitting awkwardly, which I always do anyway, my back hurts. People getting old sucks. So that's the aftermath. Okay. Is there anything? There is something else, Trey. Before we end the show, which we're right on time, boys, right on time.
Are we?
2 minutes over. Right on time. I want to know, and you do not have to answer. It will not affect our friendship. You know me, and you know that when I say that, I mean that, like in all sincerity. You don't have any time left. It is Tuesday or bust. Maybe start with what are you looking at the most out of all of our conversations? Yes, I'm trying to indoctrinate you. I get that. Yes, we watch Fox News for the debates. Yes, we do some of these things, and I bash Kamala and Joe. We used to make fun of Joe together. I miss those days. Pudding eating motherfucker. And I just feel like you were fair, and I respect that completely. You didn't feel 100% comfortable just rolling with me and Trump. You wanted to take the time. Is there anything? First off, have you made a decision?
I plead the fifth.
So you don't want to say it, okay? No. You don't have to say it.
No,
because I won't ask you who it is. Have you made a decision, or are you leaning? Do you have a percentage? Like you leaning one way or the other?
Yes.
Or are you not going to vote?
That's a possibility too.
So there are 3 possibilities.
Yeah.
It's Trump, Kamala, or nobody.
There you go.
Or you can go with one of the, I think there's like 2 other independents that got like 1%.
Bill and Michelle.
You can write in me and you. Anyway.
It'd be interesting.
So what was it that got you to lean kind of towards your decision? Was it media? Was it discussion? Was it guests? Was it social media? Like, can you give us that, and then we'll end the show?
I think social media has swayed me a lot, just because of reactions and certain things that
Don't
are
look
said.
at my post.
No.
I'm an asshole. Go ahead.
I mean, I've been on Twitter and I just see just some of the craziest things people say, and it's baffling to me.
I'll admit it's both sides. I mean, there are Trump assholes. I look, there are, but there are also the opposite. Go ahead. So you
just
think
just the social media piece.
social
of it,
media,
yeah. And so just it really surprised me.
What about the debates?
I was more impressed with the vice president debates than I was the president debates.
I think anybody would say that if you're really looking for a debate for policy, if you're looking for entertainment, then
I was a little frustrated in the fact that Kamala really just attacked
Yeah.
more than, just because that was her first debate, right? So it's like,
yeah,
so why not speak on what she's going to do differently?
She's being told. I think
she
she's being told what to do.
I personally think she should say, "Hey, I know we didn't do it the right way. Here's what I'm going to do to change it." I think that would have went a long way.
She won't do that, and I think that's why you mentioned earlier she's separating herself from Joe a little bit, because that's almost justifying her going back on a lot of the things that they did, because she's trying to do that. All of a sudden, Trump's like, no tax on tips, and a week later she's like, I think no tax on tips, and it's like, and she's claiming real fast, she's claiming the defund the police she doesn't want to do. Well, there are so many clips of her saying we have to defund the police. That's a big thing for me. I respect the fuck out of those guys, and not just because we're friends with some of them. God, I just can't even imagine that. And some of the things that she said in the past that are there on video, and all of a sudden she's going, I never said that. Well, it was right there.
Well, Donald came out. I saw a clip. I think it was like 2016. As far as he feels like there should be punishment on women that get abortions.
He did say that
criminal punishment.
I don't agree with him.
So I mean,
but I'm allowed to not agree with him on a point.
Yeah. So again, just like JD Vance didn't like Trump at one point, or wasn't a fan. No. He's changed. So
he changed because he saw that Trump was learning through people that he assigned around him. And he admitted on Joe Rogan, like, you guys go listen to that show. Ours first, but then Joe's. And that's what he was talking about. It's like, he said he had to assign 10,000 positions in the first day. Now, for him, it ended up being about 100, and then they assigned people. And so you have to have an idea of who's going to be the best for the position. And then he fired a bunch of people in his presidency, and they're the ones that coincidentally are speaking out against him.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what? No one that was on Trump's staff likes him. Well, yeah, he fired their ass because they didn't do it. And he's like that. He's a business guy. You fuck around, you're out. And so, he's come out and he's saying, like, look, it's about who you surround. He admitted, he goes, I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I came in with ideas, but I needed people to help. And that's what you're saying. And I think that's what has to happen, both sides. But, again, if he said that, I don't agree with it. But he's not saying it now. And Vance isn't saying it now. They're saying they're not going to veto a national ban. Again, will they? Well, are they lying? They might be. Is Kamala lying that she wants to not defund the police? Probably. I'm just saying that okay, I'm saying both sides.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to sound more on Kamala, but it's just natural. So that's the thing, is that which candidate, and a lot of people say, I just hate Trump and I can't believe him. Okay, there you go. A lot of people, I don't agree with that. I think you have to look at policy. I think you have to look at foreign affairs. I think he's ruthless, and I think sometimes the best leaders are ruthless guys that just aren't going to take shit from anybody. You may not want to go to a dinner party with them, but they're gonna look after you when it comes to the hard stuff. Mm-hmm. And I can't imagine Kamala stepping up to the hard stuff. That's how I'll end. And you're still not going to tell us, are you? So you're leaning one way. Okay, fair enough. You're leaning one way. You just feel comfortable not saying it on the air.
Right.
Is it because I will kill you? Will you at some point tell me down the road?
We'll see.
What do I got to do? I got to blow you or something to get the answer out of you? Jesus Christ. We've been best friends for 25 years. 25 years. Best friends. You won't tell me who's voted for.
Yeah.
It's probably smart. Have a great election day, people. Hope a lot of you listen to it on election day. Get out and vote. But before you do, like and subscribe. Spread the word. I think we're regular guys talking about important topics that are on the same level with 90% of the country. I've said that before, and I really believe that. So come hang out. We have fun. I mean, look, you also learn that there's an orca that just threw shit on everybody.
Yeah.
And then we talked about Kamala. Just happened to be the same kind.
And Trump.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we talked about Donald too. Way after that.
Way after that.
So happy voting, people, and the next show that we have will be post-election. We may do one election night. That's when we're supposed to do it. Maybe we'll either way.
You'll be super stressed on that day.
The whole show just son of a bitch. What's happening in Vermont? No, we'll figure it out. We may do a little bit of it because it's not going to come in like a lot early. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a late night, so we may do that for fun, or we may switch the nights. But either way, the next time you hear an episode, it'll be after the election. I don't know if they're going to have it settled in a day or two. I think it may take 3, 4, 5, maybe even a week. Arizona's saying it may take 2 weeks, and everyone's like, "What the fuck? Paper ballots would take 2 days," and you're telling me. So we'll see what happens on the next show. And yeah,
do you have a quote for us or no?
I have a quote. Yeah, might as well.
You need to find a presidential quote for this.
Kamala Harris sucks. And no, Trey. God, I hope you're not voting for that bitch. I'm kidding. Who said that? We'll still be. Look, I'll prove it. We'll still be best friends, and I will never. My love for you will not get any less. No homo. If you vote for Kamala Harris, I won't get it. I will never let you hear the end of it. But no, I'm kidding. Trey can vote for whoever he wants. That's what this country is all about, and that's what being friends is all about. So hug your family if they vote somebody different, and nice dinner or some shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. How about this? The grass is always greener on the other side until you jump the fence and see all the weeds up close. I think there's a lot of depth there. Would you like it again?
No, I got it.
You got it. All right, everybody. Think about that, and we'll see you after the election. Happy Election Day.
Later.
Love you guys. I'm always about to press the music. How about in honor of the... I have some new ones, guys. Hold on. What's this one?
Surprised you didn't use that during some of my tapes.
Well, I was going to use that when you said you weren't going to tell me you're going to vote for it. I didn't do it. So, but go vote, Trey, no matter what.
All right.
Love you guys.